Seeing none, Representative Williamson, would you like to close?
I would. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, colleagues, for staying late into the evening for what I think is a thoughtful discussion. I want to thank everybody who engaged in this legislation, including and probably most specifically my colleagues in the House Judiciary Committee. We didn't get to a place where we all agreed on this legislation, but I appreciate the willingness to engage in a conversation, especially the hard work from the representative from District 55. I do think there was a place to get to a consensus approach, and that was in the 2-year work group that we had. And it's unfortunate we didn't have more time with the amendments that were brought, the amendment that was brought as a minority report. But as I said, it came to us 3 days ago without vetting from the group that met for 2 years on these issues. So I do believe it was a public process. It was not behind closed doors, as was mentioned earlier. And so I want to thank everyone, including the members of the community and stakeholders in our juvenile justice system who participated in a very long and what I think was a very thoughtful process. I also want to thank Senator Jackie Winters, who our colleague mentioned earlier, for her dedication to making our criminal justice more fair, our criminal justice system more fair for everyone in the state, and her tireless work on this bill. She has served the state for 60 years, much of it focused on criminal justice work, and was part of the team that created the Oregon Youth Authority. You know, we've heard again many times that this legislation should be referred to the voters, and I've addressed why I don't think that is appropriate. And as our colleague from District 59 said, voters reaffirmed this in 2000, but I believe as policymakers, when we know that a system is not working, we need to fix it. And we know the data shows us that this system, our juvenile system, our Measure 11 waiver system, creates a class of people who reoffend at a higher rate. It targets our communities of color. And my question is, what is our responsibility, knowing that, to fix this system when we have the right under Measure 10 to do it? And colleagues, Measure 10 brings a bigger burden on us. If it didn't exist, it would be a simple majority vote to change what's in ballot Measure 11. But instead, we have to rise to the occasion to a super duper majority vote to change Measure 11. And what we know from the brain science since 1994, like all science, we know vastly more about brain science and juvenile development than we did at the time of Measure 11. And like I said, we also know this is a system that creates more victims because people put through this system reoffend at a higher rate. We also know it specifically targets our communities of color, our kids of color. So colleagues, I will keep it short. It is late. Everyone has been incredibly engaged in this conversation. I appreciate it. And again, I believe we need to protect the constitutional rights of our fellow citizens and ensure the equal rights of all of our state's children. And I believe that those rights should not be left to the voters. It's our responsibility to fix this system. I urge and I vote.